Hello, friends. Today I'm talking about limerence and love after trauma. And I really feel like anyone that's been through trauma has to understand the difference, because if you don't, especially if you were in toxic relationships in the past, and maybe you were in a few, right? And you're in these repeated patterns of relationships. If you don't understand the difference, you can learn all the red flags you want. You can learn all about the narcissist. And if you don't understand the limerence, you can fall for another one again. So that being said, let's dive deep into what limerence is, how you can spot it, and what you can do about it. For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a life and relationship coach. I'm also the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is a monthly membership where we meet live and we work through the side effects of trauma together. Right now, the doors are closed to the membership, but my video courses from the school are available. I'll leave the link there. Doors will be reopening soon for enrollment. Okay, so let's talk about limerence. First of all, it's a term coined by a psychologist named Dorothy Tenev, and it was coined in 1979 in a book that she wrote called Love and Limerence. And I just want to read the definition of limerence, okay? It says it's a state of mind that results from romantic or non-romantic feelings for another person. And what it can be characterized with are obsessive thoughts about the other person, fantasies of reciprocation if the person is not currently reciprocating you, and an intense desire to form or maintain a relationship with this person. It's interesting that in part of that definition, it said that limerence can be defined as an involuntary state of intense desire, a near obsessive form of love. And some other characteristics are the need for reciprocation, as well as an intense fear of rejection. Okay, so that's what it's characterized by. Now I want to talk about it through the lens of trauma. If you've had childhood trauma or narcissistic abuse. Not all childhood trauma is from a narcissistic parent. It could be that your parent was emotionally unavailable, and the trauma that can result from that. Remember, trauma is more the beliefs that you began thinking about yourself as opposed to what the events that happened. So if you had an emotionally unavailable parent that maybe was dealing with their own trauma and not realizing, right, what they're doing to their child, it's not intentional. They're not intentionally trying to harm that child. But if they're not providing the emotional needs of that child, a child can form beliefs like, I'm not enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm unworthy. I have to sacrifice self in order to gain love. I'm not lovable the way I am as my authentic self. So let's say those are the beliefs in childhood, and they could be formed again, whether your parent was a narcissist or simply emotionally unavailable. You can have those beliefs in you and they can be dormant. In other words, let's say somewhere along the line, you're living as your authentic self to a certain degree, and you're creating the life that you want. Trauma can stay active throughout childhood and into adulthood, but it can also be dormant for a little while. Then you come across a person, a situation, a circumstance that opens the door to that trauma, which means it opens the door to the beliefs, the painful beliefs, right? Because those beliefs hurt. To believe that about yourself, that you are unworthy, that you're unlovable, that you are not enough, that your authentic self is rejected. Those are intense, painful beliefs. So if a circumstance opens the door to those beliefs that maybe were dormant, what will happen is you will become very much like that child, how you were in your childhood, seeking the love and approval of your parent. Okay, the only difference is you will be doing it with what's known as the limerent object. So what that looks like. Let's say you come across somebody that on a conscious level, you are not thinking about your childhood. You are not thinking about those wounds. You're just living your life, right? But your subconscious has everything you've ever gone through memorized. And When trauma is unhealed, and even if it's dormant, there's the sun making me look like a ghost, but oh well, it is what it is. So that trauma is dormant. It's in your nervous system, which means your subconscious is always looking at your life. It's a surveillance 24/7. And it's always looking at it through the lens of what's similar to the trauma that's stuck in your nervous system. So let's say in childhood, your parent, for whatever reason, was hot and cold, right? One minute they loved you and you felt enough and you felt worthy, but the next day they didn't. And it was as if your sense of self-worth evaporated instantly. And then that pain of feeling like I'm not enough caused that child to do whatever they needed to do to seek out their parents' approval once again. And so the child sacrificed self. The child focused completely on the parent, watched what the parent wanted, what the parent liked, didn't care about their own needs, and tried to do everything to get that parent's approval again. Then they get the parent's approval. It feels good inside because you accomplished that purpose, right? And then your brain is filled with all those feel-good hormones. Then the parent takes it away and it's a trauma bond. Well, if in your adulthood you meet somebody and let's say they're really like you feel something with that person, your sparks are flying, and it could be a romantic relationship or not. It could be a work relationship. It could be a friend, but you feel really close to this person, but then they pull away. Your nervous system notices that, and it starts giving you that same chemical cocktail that it did in childhood that caused you to chase the person so that you could get those feel-good hormones again. And you can wind up feeling this intense desire for this person to reciprocate you, to validate you, to love you, to see your worth. That's the limerence. And what happens a lot of times is on a logical level, it doesn't make sense. That's why even in the definition, it says it's involuntary, this involuntary obsession. When I hear that, what I'm hearing is on a conscious level, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be thinking about this person. I do not want on a conscious level to be trying to get their interest in me. But on an unconscious level, on a subconscious level, I do. And the subconscious always has more power than the conscious mind. And that's where it can get really confusing, because you will have these moments when you are in your conscious mind and you're thinking, why am I doing this? This person is not good for me. This person isn't really who I want in my life. This isn't healthy for me. And yet your body is being driven to try to make yourself into whatever that person wants so that you can gain that reciprocity, so that they can love you. What's happening is that the trauma, the unhealed trauma is waking up. And because it's sensing that similarity to what caused the trauma in the first place, it's really just trying to be resolved. So if you have ever been in a relationship where you're chasing someone that on a logical level, you know isn't good for you, if you cannot stop thinking about a person and how you can get them to see your worth almost obsessively, and this is the key, right? There's this obsession of needing them to see your worth. If it is affecting you to the point that you stop being you, in other words, you can't see your worth anymore because you can only feel like you can have it if they give it to you. If you let go of the things and the pieces of you that you know you are because you're so busy striving and chasing after this person, you're getting stuck in limerence. Limerence has been activated, and it's a physical thing. It's not just emotional. It's a chemical thing in your body. Okay, so your brain is getting flooded with dopamine and neuroepinephrine, and serotonin levels are dropping. That's the same chemical cocktail that happens with people with OCD. And when this happens, it can almost feel like something has taken over your body, right? Something inside is taking over. And basically it is. It's your nervous system. Your nervous system is kicking on. And I wanted to talk about this because there's such an emphasis. There is such an emphasis in these communities about red flags and knowing and understanding the narcissist. Well, let me tell you that all the knowledge in the world is not enough to override what's going on in your body. Because all the knowledge about the narcissist is information that's in your logical brain. It's part of your, it's information that your left brain, your logical brain has access to. But when all of this is kicking on, when limerence is taking over, you are in your emotional brain, and without realizing it, you're probably experiencing emotional flashbacks. And the emotional flashback that I'm just going to mention for the sake of this video is the pain of rejection that you felt in childhood when you were seeking the love and acceptance from your caregiver and when you weren't getting it. Okay, there was an intense amount of pain that came with that. So when you are with a limerent object, okay, or a person that you feel limerence for, your body is pushing you to do whatever you need to do, which also means stop being you, right? Stop being your authentic self, because in childhood, that's what you did. You stopped being your authentic self to try to gain that love and approval. Well, in this relationship that you might have limerence for, you will stop being yourself because of that fear of rejection. And if you think that that person isn't reciprocating, it will cause you to go into an emotional flashback, which means you're flashing back to the pain that you had in childhood. And at those moments, you have zero access to logic. In an emotional flashback, your left brain, it's like it short circuits. You don't have access to all the logic and all the knowledge you've gained about the narcissist. It goes out the window. And all you have is this fear of rejection that is pushing you to gain the approval of this person. So something really sad that I read in an article when I was looking up information on limerence, it said that there is no cure for limerence. And I thought, how sad to make a person feel like all of this that's going on inside of them is something they have no control over. The cure for limerence has to do with doing the inner work to release the beliefs that are causing you to strive after somebody that is similar in dynamics to whoever caused the trauma in the first place. So for example, if you have the belief, I am worthy, I am good enough just as I am, I'm allowed to be my authentic self, I am enough just as I am. Those are the beliefs that when you have those beliefs and you are the one that is fueling those beliefs, in other words, you're not in a relationship with somebody that makes you feel that, okay? If you are in a relationship with somebody that supports those beliefs, awesome. But if you can't fuel those beliefs, whether you're in a relationship or not, if you have the capacity to fuel them on your own, then you're not going to get sucked into that limerence. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if you want to stop getting sucked into those intense relationships that in the beginning feel amazing, right? You think about the love bombing and the idealization phase in a narcissistic relationship. They feel amazing because they are fueling your unmet needs, right? You thought you weren't worthy. You thought you weren't lovable. And here's this person that's fueling those beliefs. It feels amazing. But unfortunately, those relationships, that idealization phase doesn't last. And you're right back in square one, feeling unworthy as you are. But when you get to that place where you can see your worth and you can fuel your worth and you can live in those beliefs that I am worthy, I am enough, I am allowed to be my authentic self, That's how you become resistant to relationships with limerence. Okay, so just wanted to throw this out there. Anyone that has gone through trauma, I encourage you to do the inner work to change the beliefs that were created because of the trauma, because that's what's going to help you to avoid repeating the same toxic relationship dynamics that you had to undergo in childhood.